radio listeners, you are listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. I'm Kenny Horn.
And I'm Kyle Pepitone, and you're now tuned in to the Morning Buzz.
Well, kinda.
Every Friday during the summer, we're going to give you a compilation show of the Morning Buzz over the course of the last week.
We have it all, everything from the pressing news stories all the way to the weird and funny news that will be sure to give you a good laugh.
We will even replay interviews that aired, so you have another chance to listen in.
We'll even be posting this show to YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more.
So go ahead and treat yourself. Sit back, relax, and grab that extra donut, and listen to the best of the Morning Buzz.
Donuts.
Moving on to some more upbeat and happier news. I'm really excited about this story, so I hope you guys enjoy this. But NewJersey.com is giving us tips on some beach etiquette. And if you're a beach lover like myself, I hope that you might take away some of these tips that I'm about to state for you guys. So there's actually 13 of them, and I'm going to go through them real fast, and then we're going to talk about them. So tip number 1 is no smoking. And I didn't know this, but apparently smoking is actually banned in most places right now. And starting next year, it will be illegal on all public beaches. So NewJersey.com says tip number 1, no smoking. Tip number 2, don't crowd people. I feel like this one is pretty self-explanatory. Tip number 3 is exhibit sand awareness. There's nothing worse than getting hit with sand when you least expect it. So I personally really support this rule. Tip number 4, keep your music down. Number 5, clean up after yourself. Number 6, play games on the side. This one is so true. Okay, I want to go into this later, but it is so true. At the beach, playing games like volleyball or frisbee or can jam, they're all fantastic and they can definitely make your beach trip. Number 7, listen to the lifeguard, of course. Number 8, keep an eye on your children. Number 9, keep PDA to a minimum. Number 10, dress appropriately. Number 11, wear sunscreen. I don't know why people seem to forget this one all the time, but wear your sunscreen. It's not that hard. Just spray it on before you go in the water. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. Number 12, secure your stuff. And last but not least, number 13, don't leave your food out. You don't want the seagulls attacking your beach picnic area thing. You know what I mean, your beach area. Yeah. All right, guys, that sums up my rules, but I don't know where to start because I feel like I could go into so many things. I was at the beach yesterday, so this is so relevant in my life right now.
I mean, before we start, I want to say it feels like there's only 10 rules about beach etiquette here, and the last 3 are kind of like the for yourself thing, because I don't know how not wearing sunscreen affects anyone else around you. So that's just my thought.
I mean, maybe it affects the people. I don't know. Maybe people don't like looking at extremely burnt people because it's sometimes it gets gross. When your skin peels and you're walking.
Oh yeah, peeling. I guess
it's not the most appealing thing to look at when you're laying there on the beach, not for nothing. But
not only that, but I mean, tell me, when you get sunburned, at least in my opinion, when I get sunburned, I get angsty, my skin hurts you get upset, you kind of compromise yourself and you put yourself in a bad state that's more likely to be rude and aggressive to others. So maybe you're just putting yourself in a bad state. They're it's more don't hurt yourself to bet that you mean to people or anything, or you don't want to just be more angsty. I mean, if you're ordering ice cream, you're oh no, I want wet sprinkles, not this.
Oh, you bring up that's a quality point right there, because you are more angry and just unhappy and unpleasant when you have a bad sunburn. But speaking of being unhappy and unpleasant, the most important rule, I think, is number 3, exhibit sand awareness. Because literally, I was at the beach yesterday, and my boyfriend was just eating his lunch, right? He had gotten a burger and fries from the stand, and he was just eating his burger, and then a little kid runs past him and kicks sand all over his food. And obviously it's a child, so you can't get mad, but it's just really now there's sand all over all of my food. It's how do you eat it? And I think this is such an important rule because okay, it's a child, so you can cut slack for it, but there's so many times when they're adults who just take up their towel and wring it right in, they shake it right in front of my area, and then the sand flies back in my face. And I don't know how you guys feel about sand, but like I
I
love.
hate sand.
One of the reasons I do not like beaches is because of the sand.
You don't like the beach? Okay. I see. I'm not a big sand fan. Unless like you're in the water, I think it's fine. Stepping on sand, I don't mind. But like when you get sand like everywhere in your hair, like you get my point. It's just no one likes it. It's nasty and um yeah, I don't know. Have you guys ever had an issue with sand awareness?
I mean, it's usually a battle between me and my sister of first just being very hyper aware of the sand, and then if someone does it by accident, then it's a whole sand battle. It's almost like a snowball fight, but with sand.
Sand? Yeah, no, that's quality. You have a quality point. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've never really had an issue with like sand awareness, either myself not being sand aware or other people. It's just I get sand on me walking on the beach, and that's enough to annoy me. So I couldn't imagine like being kicked in the face with sand or having a sandwich ruined because of sand. It
Yeah.
doesn't sound like a good time.
It does not sound like a good time either. Even like I don't know if you guys have like had like, like drinks like soda and like water on the beach before and like opened it and then like you put it down on the sand and then like someone kicks it and then there's sand all over your drink. I just feel like I've had so many experiences where like people have tried to sabotage my food or beverages because of just kicking sand in my area, which really frustrates me.
Yeah.
But moving on to some other like points within this article.
I do have a question though, because there was one rule I was very confused about. What does it mean by play games on the side?
Oh, it means like play volleyball or frisbee on the side or can jam. Or you know that game with like the Velcro, it's like a Velcro like pancake and you have a ball and you like toss it and you like catch it with like the Velcro thing.
Oh, yes, I love those.
Like I don't know what it's called, but
I
like,
don't either, but it's fun.
like some of those games are just so much fun. I mean, there are a lot of issues that can honestly come
Right.
on yourself because of these. Like I don't know about you, but I've like played frisbee on the beach before and like knocked like the random person out before, and like that just goes back into like etiquette. like don't play.
Knocked them over or knocked them out? Because
Like
those are two different
not
things.
out, but like like hit someone in the head and they're like
Yeah.
ah, and you're like
Okay, yeah.
gosh, I'm sorry, like not fully out, but with playing games on the beach, make sure you do it on the side and you're away from people because you don't want to be like me and like accidentally hitting random pedestrians.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of fun. But honestly, though, I feel like there are things they could have even added to this list. What do you guys think? Would you have added anything?
I mean, I really like the fact like to don't leave food out, because I noticed that I think this is just me, but I'm not sure about anyone else. But often I would see bees on the beach, and I'm always so scared, bees or wasps, because they're always like circling around food, and like I feel that's what's really big for me. But other than that, I mean,
Yeah, the sad thing about, I think you're talking about wasps, is that like
yeah,
the wasps and flies that are on the beach, we have no control over that, unfortunately, which is annoying because I've been on the beach too. Actually, I went this year and there were like a bunch of like flies just buzzing around us, and they're they're harmless. They bite you, but like it's not like a big deal, but it just ruins your mood.
Yeah.
Oh, but unfortunately, there's not much we can personally do about that. How-
oh, sorry. I just like, as I'm thinking, I believe just a last point that I would definitely add would be to clean up after yourself, other than don't leave food out, just to clean up in general. Because usually when I go to the beach, like it sometimes pains my heart to see that some people just like leave like boxes of food, like other than food, like sometimes cigarette stumps or like tissues. Like, come on, it's nature, it's the ocean. Like you don't want to come to a beach and have that something in your place or something. Like it's supposed to be here to relax and have fun and enjoy nature, not just like dirty it.
Yeah, no, 100%. If I was gonna add a rule, I would talk about the umbrellas and just making sure your umbrella is like secure in the sand. Because even yesterday, someone's umbrella like flew out of the ground when it got windy and like came hurling towards me, and like that's something that people have actually gotten very injured.
Yeah,
people have been impaled because of these umbrellas. So just making sure that it's secure, having someone always just kind of like watching the area too, just in case if something does happen, they could run up and grab it.
Right.
2 is so important because, like, especially when you're on like a crowded beach, like umbrellas could be coming from all different directions, and you don't want to get hurt. You just got to be aware.
Yeah.
And I feel like some people, not to say this is bad, but some people just get in that like relaxed mood. They're not like thinking about anything else, and like, obviously I want you to still be relaxed and having a good time, but like you still got to be aware of your surroundings and whatnot, and listening to the lifeguards, rule number 7, because that's important as well.
Right. Yeah, I'm not one of those relaxed people at the beach. You know, the few times I actually step on one, but like I went a few weeks ago and I'm not a beach person a lot, and then so I'm like I'm not a big like water person or anything. So I was just sitting there. I sat by under the umbrella the whole time, kind of just like holding on to it, because even though the umbrella we have has like a spiral stake that twists into the ground, I'm still like, I don't want this flying away because that means I'm going to be hot. So let me just hold on to it for like several hours.
Oh my god, no, that was literally my boyfriend in the entire day yesterday, holding onto the umbrella under it. He was also reading a book too, which I like support, that's great. But no, it's fun. It's funny how we all have different opinions on the beach, because like for me, I'm like, yes, like I love the beach ever since I was a kid. When I go in the water, I am not Sabrina Heisig. I am Sabrina the mermaid, and I am just like, I'm enjoying myself. I am like in there for like hours, letting my hands like turn into raisins, and like I don't care. I love it. I just feel so free and alive until I get sucked in by like the tide or the rip tide, and then I end up landing in sand, which happened to me yesterday. So that was fun.
Wow.
Oh no! I mean, I completely relate with you, like on that level, Sabrina. I always found that whether it was the beach or the pool in the summer, but now like the beach and the waves, like I really feel one with the ocean. Like me and my sister when we were younger, and we would like swim in the water. We're like, oh, we're gonna taunt Poseidon and make him make bigger waves. And then when big waves came, we're like, okay, no, we're sorry. It was actually really funny.
No,
and yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, you can go. I just got like a little tickle in my throat. I'm gonna drink some water.
Oh no, it's okay. Hydrate. It might be Poseidon. But yeah, I always cherish those memories. Like maybe I'm not a fan of the beach because I don't like playing on the sand. I'm not a big fan of the heat.
You just talked about how much you love the ocean, and now you're.
But no, I was about to say I'm not a fan of the beach and the sand and the heat, but I love the ocean. I love swimming in the ocean. Like I could deal with that. If there was no beach and ocean, I would be so happy. Like I know there's some places in Europe where the beach is either cliffs or it's made of stones, like a bunch of little stones. Yeah. And I was so happy there. And on American beaches, I could still be happy, but I have to deal with the sand. It gives me like this extra discipline. But then I really cherish the times I'm in Europe and I'm on those stony beaches. So
interesting. Yeah, no, I have to disagree with you there. I think I prefer sand over stones, because I have been to stone beaches where it really hurts to like walk anywhere. Just getting to like the water is painful on my feet. So in that case, I would have to disagree with you politely, Issa. I'm so sorry. I hope our friendship is not ruined.
We'll have to agree to disagree. We need to sign a formal statement to not disagree with our friendship.
No. It is I don't know which. Well, I think I side a little bit more with Issa because I am not a sand person at all. I hate sand. I hate sand almost as much as I hate peanut butter. And if anyone has listened,
Kyle, you need to get out of the show. How do you hate peanut butter?
I can't get out of the show. I'm running everything here. If I leave, there's a problem. But I've been on both sand and stone beaches, and I like the stone beaches a little more because stones are obviously a lot bigger, and so they don't get everywhere. So like they're not like you're not covered in stones if you lay down on a stone beach. And I will admit it's probably a lot rougher to walk on, and it's been years since I went to the beach, so I don't remember the feeling, but the thought of like tiny, like moderate sized stones, not like these big cliff sized boulders, but I like that idea. And I actually have a rock from like a black stone beach that I went to years ago, I think out in California. And I don't know. It's just a fun little thing to keep.
That's cool. I like that, Kyle. I mean, I disagree with you still, but like
That's fair.
You have a rock. I also have many rocks. I had a rock collection when I was a kid, so I have a full box of rocks.
Ice cream. So, according to NJ.com, this February, Nelson Chang, the owner of the Carvel ice cream shop in Hamilton, New Jersey, passed away due to COVID. Many former employees came to pay their respects, but one of them, Denise Bongiovi, and her husband bought the business from Chang's family and reopened it this past week. Denise recalls a lifelong relationship with Chang, from him serving her ice cream as a kid, working for him during her high school and college years, and even bringing her own kids to the shop. She said, quote, "I just felt like I couldn't see it sit. I couldn't see it close. And I think the community just needed someone to be here who knew him and loved him and respected him." End quote. Denise and Joe Bongiovi are receiving a ton of support from the community, and even other former employees have returned to help run the shop and train the next crew. So the ice cream shop in Hamilton stays in business, and just everybody is happy about it, because it's not just like, oh, it's an ice cream shop. It's great. We get our ice cream there, whatever. Like everybody who like worked here and a lot of the customers had this like interpersonal relationship with the owner, Nelson Chang. Like he knew their orders by heart. He talked to them. He stayed in touch with all the former, like all of his former employees, like once they left for college or whatever. So like this isn't just an ice cream shop. This was like a community all in one. And everyone was really sad once he passed away due to COVID. And they're just glad that like his legacy keeps on going. And as Denise said, like they thought like it can't just be anyone to reopen the shop. It has to be somebody who had that kind of connection with him, that like really got along with him and knew what he was about.
Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic, especially because Carvel. I don't know about you guys, but have you guys ever had a Carvel ice cream cake? Because they are to die for. Literally, they are so.
I have had one. Yeah.
I might have. It's not like I have had a lot of like celebrations and stuff where there's ice cream cake. So I don't know like what brand made it or whatever. But I'm like almost positive at least once in my life I've had an ice cream cake from Carvel. And you know, I prefer real cake over an ice cream cake.
Oh, but, like, wait, what? Kyle, once again, get out. You are kicked off this show once again. No,
wait,
no.
That's like a childhood favorite. How could you not like the combination
it's very good.
Ice cream.
But no, there's a difference between a combination of cake and ice cream.
No, ice cream cake is better.
I don't know. Like I think if it's an ice cream cake, there needs to be some cake with the ice cream. I find it, well, to me, it's just ice cream. If it's just an ice cream cake made nothing of ice cream, but it's just a block of ice cream.
It also has the frosting aspect, and it has like those little fudge pieces.
Yeah,
it has the fudge and the cake crunch mixed within it.
The cake crunch, I will give you. The cake crunch is amazing.
Right.
No matter who makes the cake, if there's cake crunch in it, I love it.
It's unique. You can't call it an ice cream cake. It's almost like an ice cream creation, but like you can't find that in any other cake. So it's unique. And some places, I mean, some Carvels that I've been to when I was younger, like you could choose the ice cream and everything, and they can mix it for you. Like that's really cool too.
That is cool. I will admit. I don't know. I guess I prefer the bit of the spongy texture to the ice cream. Also, my teeth are a little bit more sensitive, so cold things are not great. So that might be part of the reason.
Well, maybe what you should do, I have a solution. Put your ice cream cake in a bowl, melt it a little bit. It'll be lukewarm, and it'll be like a.
But doesn't that just become like a milkshake at that point?
No, actually, speaking of that, my wonderful uncle and grandfather, who both loved Carvel and loved ice cream, who have unfortunately both passed away, but they would always microwave it for a little bit or put it in the heat, leave it out to thaw for like 2 or 3 minutes, and it actually turned into this warm, melted like heaven and goodness. And it actually transformed the whole experience of eating ice cream. I recommend, if you have an ice cream cake or even like put ice cream in a bowl, melt it just a little bit, maybe add a little bit of milk to it or something, and it melts it, and it does something. Like, I don't know what happens, like some sort of magic goes into it. It really tastes good.
I love how you put it, Issa, like spot on. Magic happens when you let your ice cream cake sit out a little bit. Kyle, honestly, I just take a little bit of offense to this because I used to work at an ice cream shop, and I made I was the cake maker. Like I made all the ice cream cakes. I decorated all the ice cream
That
cakes.
sounds fun.
So I don't know. It's just it hurts a little bit, Kyle. But
I'm
like,
sorry.
whatever.
I don't hate ice cream cake. I like the ice cream cake. I have no problem with it.
You prefer to eat sponges instead. I get it. It's some people.
Not sponges, like actual sponges.
I know. I'm just
ever since I was younger. I'm sorry, Kyle, too, but I never liked the cake. Like I would always take the frosting, but not the cake. Like I don't know what is it.
I would just like the frosting or the middle part, and like the cake itself is like okay, like I'll eat it because it's there, but like it's never. I don't go out of my way to eat it. Like I just eat it.
Exactly. Like yeah, if someone gives me a cake, like yeah, the frosting is sweet, or like if they have sometimes if it's the cake is flavored something, yeah, they could get away with it. But usually, like no offense, there's nothing to cake that's exciting. Like it's just a pure block of like I don't know something like a cookie is more exciting than a cake. I'm sorry, it just in my logic.
Guess it's a bad time to bring up that I really like vanilla cake then.
Oh my.
Well, okay. To be fair, if I had to choose between like vanilla and chocolate, like full-on chocolate cake can be kind of overbearing sometimes.
Yeah.
So I would have to go with vanilla too, but vanilla ice cream cake. That's where it's at, you know?
Oh, totally. Vanilla ice. I love vanilla ice cream.
Good, as you should.
You should have a serious sit-down talk after this, Kyle, and really reanalyze your personality. You have to come out with these truths that we never knew about you.
Not just your choices; it's your whole personality, Kyle.
You're someone different. Behind that mask, you're hiding something.
Well, after this week, Dodger will be back, and you will never have to hear from me again. I'll just be in the background.
No!
We're kidding, Kyle. Oh.
I know.
Pam, take us to the Olympics.
All right. So Sha'Carri Richardson is going to miss the Olympics. This one hurt. Superstar sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson was not on the Team USA track and field roster yesterday, the 130-team roster. She was suspended due to a positive drug test, but speculation occurred for her to be available for the 4x100 relays. Her suspension was going to end August 5th, the prior before the relays began, but Team USA went into a different direction. Team USATF had a statement saying, quote, "First and foremost, we are incredibly sympathetic towards Sha'Carri Richardson, extenuating circumstances, and strongly applaud her for her accountability, and will offer her our continued support both on and off the track. While USATF fully agrees that the merit of the World Anti-Doping Agency rules related to THC should be reevaluated, it would be detrimental to the integrity of the U.S. Olympic team trials for track and field if the USATF amends its policies following competition only weeks before the Olympic Games," end quote. Now, to me, I still don't agree with the ruling that Sha'Carri Richardson should be suspended. I understand. Listen, I run track and field. I understand. I know what it takes. I understand how hard it is to work to get to that level. I'm striving to get there in 2024. I understand the amount of hard work and dedication it takes to make sure that your body is in the best position possible. I understand that. Like I said, I'm an athlete. But this is what I also understand that life happens. Not even a year ago today, I lost my mother recently, so I know what that's like. But at the same time, I get that you don't get a sympathy card, but this is something that's not even per se a PhD. This is just something that
not a performance enhancer whatsoever.
This is something that it actually does the exact opposite. It makes you relax.
Actually, the amount that she would have had to have taken in order for that to be a performance enhancer is absurd. And it basically would have been that she would have had to take like 40 hits of a joint to be so high to where she couldn't feel pain. And she had nowhere near that level. So it was nowhere near a level that it could even have enhanced her to a benefit.
Even if you see how she ran, she had a terrible start. Her start was atrocious. And she ran what, a 10-7? So yeah, she ran a 10-7, something crazy like that. So for her to have a bad start, run a 10-7, it's just like, wow, that's impressive. Now, there's this thing if you all the track athletes know that our relaxation is really the difference maker. But at the same time, like what's really going to, I don't understand how marijuana is going to make a difference in terms of sprinting. Like that's what's really the matter of that. I still don't understand that.
I mean, I ran track in high school. I've never obviously run at the collegiate level, but I ran track in high school as well. And taking any sort of relaxer literally hampers your performance. So it would basically be a performance deficiency drug. It's not like she took any sort of variance of speed, any sort of cocaine that they used to do in the very early days of track as performance enhancers, or any sort of steroid whatsoever, which recently occurred with other track runners and got nowhere near the attention that this is getting over positive marijuana tests. And it also shows the absurdity of USADA for them to, consider THC to be a drug that we need to suspend people for is absolutely ridiculous. When no one's taking it at the level that it could even remotely be considered a performance enhancer, to where you're so high that where you become numb. There's almost never been a single THC test that's come back at that level. So there's no point.
I was reading their official statement. I think it was just like they weren't like necessarily like opposed or in support of marijuana, but like they just kind of like they were like it's on the books and it's not fair if we like amend it like weeks before. But I honestly want to see how they
at some point. Like
that is true. I honestly want to see where this goes in the future if they will make marijuana a legalized substance in the Olympic Games.
Yeah, when I was learning about this story, I wasn't surprised she wouldn't be added to what is it, the August 2nd or whatever event. Like she was kicked off the first one. There was like rumors saying that she could be brought back for the relay, I believe. But I wasn't surprised that they went the route of not even letting her, because a lot of these U.S. officials for sports and U.S. in general, maybe even Olympic Committee people, I don't know if marijuana is at that stage in the world where people like we have the information, but it's still that era of officials that don't believe it,
Yeah.
So, with the stigmatized. What was that?
No, I was just saying it's also the era of officials during the war on drugs.
Yes, exactly.
Profiting off of the criminalization of marijuana, while simultaneously keeping substances like cigarettes, tobacco, and alcohol that are far more deadly and far more addictive legal.
Yep.
So this is the same era of people that came around during the same times of politicians such as Nixon, Reagan, Bill Clinton, people that demonized marijuana, locked people up, ruined sports careers, and they all did it out of a massive profit incentive. And because of that, that atmosphere of profit incentive for them, also with USADA, they get paid a certain amount of money to do these continual services. So it also is a benefit for them to get people to test positive for drugs within USADA. So they don't want it to where, if everyone starts, there's no drug tests coming back positive whatsoever, there's no point in USADA. So for them to continually be here in existence, if people are going to stop doing steroids, well, let's test them for marijuana and suspend them for marijuana. So it's like, hey, we're catching people for drug tests, we're doing our job.
Yep.
It incentivizes them staying there, whereas if they stop testing for marijuana, their power goes away, their influence goes away, and also their reasons for still being around also goes away as well.
Yeah, so stories like this, I feel, is probably going to continually happen for 10, 20 more years while those officials are still in charge. And I don't think you'll see a major change in marijuana-related instances like this until really a younger group of officials step into power here. But when I was
process of like them being elected or anything or held accountable, they're appointed by other higher up officials. It's not a democratic process, so it allows for a corrupt, inept, and basically, essentially in this case, dinosaurs to continually stay in power when their priorities of what quite literally, because this is also USADA and also state athletic commissions as well that sanctioned these events, are also tax dollars going to this, is going towards a needless system of cracking down on marijuana use for no reason.
That's the state of the sports. Who would have thought sports in America and sports around the world would be corrupt? I never saw that one coming.
No, here's the thing. Here's something else. If you look at the other leagues, the MLB, the NFL, the NHL. Actually, I don't hear much of the NHL in terms of marijuana. the NBA, all those other leagues. They look back. They started, relaxing on some of the restrictions with marijuana. Like,
yes, with boxing, same with MMA as well, because so many people were getting suspended, and literally they would hand out ridiculous suspensions for marijuana. Like, for example, years ago, Nick Diaz was suspended initially for 5 years for a marijuana test.
5 years.
5 years. That's not an exaggeration. Anderson Silva tested positive for steroids. He got a 1.5-year suspension. So a 1.5 years for steroids, 5 years for marijuana.
Doesn't add up. It does not add up one bit.
Exactly.
So basically, if you have a competitive advantage, take steroids, you get less of a penalty for,
just a slap on the wrist, pretty much.
Like, what? It doesn't make any sense. Now, back to the Sha'Carri Richardson, I kind of understand why Team USA went in a different direction, because it takes there's some guys who qualify for the Team USA team. Guys like Grant Holloway, he actually just ran yesterday. So for him, it's like he's still getting extra reps and staying in competitive shape to compete at the Olympics at the highest level. So if you know something about, Francis could attest to this, running track, you got to be able to, stay mobile. You got to be able to stay in shape throughout.
Yeah, so you continually stay in shape, especially for track, because essentially you're peaking towards the events.
It's hard, it's hard to get into shape when it's like 2 days before the event.
Yeah, no, you're basically going to be the same when it's basically a week out from any athletic event, and especially for something like track. Basically, it's going to be the same body, and you want to relax yourself and make sure that you're conditioned properly for that upcoming event for track.
Yeah.
So I don't think whatsoever that, again, something like marijuana that, again, has no levels that it would potentially affect your athletic performance, nowhere near that level. So there's no point in doing it. Like, it's just, like we've repeatedly said, it's just an example of archaic, corrupt, undemocratic processes that affect sports. And rightfully, the vast majority of the population agrees with us in that it's needlessly archaic and it just ruins sports. But again, you're going to continually see this happen until those officials are removed from power because they retire. Because there's no way of us to vote them out. There's no way that we can, sign. I don't even think there's a way for us to sign petitions or anything like that to force, the State Athletic Commission and USADA leaders to reform their policy. So unfortunately, we're quite literally just going to have to deal with this until new people come into power.
Oh, no, when I was going with this, I was going to say, like, she gets done her suspension August 5th, and then the relays are the next day. So it's like that whole turnaround, unless she's running competitive, like she's running.
Has to continually be nonstop in tip-top shape, which is already going to be hard because her mental health after this is probably going down the drain. And with all this scrutiny, that's going to affect her physical performance, because when you're stressing out, when you're having anxiety, when you're depressed, it physically affects you and it physically takes away your performance. You're not as good physically, athletically, when you're going through something like a mental health crisis, through depression, through anxiety. It affects you drastically. And I, even as someone that did compete and also who's on even anxiety medication myself, it does drastically affect your athletic performance.
Oh, listen. She also
even more so at an Olympic level.
Look, she also lost her mom on top of all that too. So like that's all that. Like, like I said, last year I lost my mom. I did not want to come back to school at least the first semester because I was just so my mental health state was just so out of it. But I mean, for me, fortunately, that COVID, that's probably the best thing for COVID. I didn't have to compete for football because I don't think I would have been able to physically prepare myself after a tragedy like that. So it was just kind of like one of those things that, it's cool. I got this semester I could relax a little bit. My grades suffered. Oh, my grades were awful. They took a hit, but I mean, I think I needed that because I had that little bit of a relax, like that little bit of a de-stressing time of that semester. I was able to come back next semester and achieve what I did. And now, almost a year later, I feel much more different. Much stronger man, and overall just a better overall mindset So I think Shakari Richardson, in her sense, I think the best days are still to come. I believe in her that she's going. This is it's tough. You miss an opportunity to compete in the Olympics. I get that it's tough,
But your
but
mental is more important than anything else in your life.
Exactly.
Needs to be prioritized. Even though, who knows how it'll affect her performance. There are people that have come back from tragedies like this and performed even better. Sometimes even events like this and tragedies like wind up making people even perform better in athletic events. It's happened throughout the history of sports, so we'll have to wait and see. Hoping obviously for the best for her, but obviously the number one thing for her to prioritize, and for obviously anyone and everyone in life and prioritize, is your mental health. And that's what needs to come first, is to make sure that she has resources and people around her to support her through this, because obviously, she's having, the world's biggest spotlight on her, and she's going through all this turmoil where her whole career is up in the air right now.
Listen, that's all. That's, like you said, that's the most important thing you can worry about. Worry about your mind comes first. It doesn't matter what happens in life. Make sure you take care of you.
Absolutely, guys, and hoping for the best for her and her career. Nothing but the best for everyone involved. We're gonna, keep breaking some positive news in a sense. Is that New Jersey has reported 0 COVID deaths for the first time in around 16 months. So on Tuesday, confirmed no new COVID-19 deaths. The state also reported another 145 confirmed cases, while there were fewer than 300 coronavirus patients hospitalized statewide for the 4th straight day. The last day New Jersey didn't report at least one newly confirmed fatality from complications related to the coronavirus was on March 17th, 2020, 2 weeks after the state announced its first case. But there is some room to be cautious considering what is going on with the Delta variant of COVID-19, and it is slowly spreading around in the US and is becoming highly dominant in states such as Arkansas, Connecticut, Kansas, and Missouri, which 96% of their cases of coronavirus have the Delta variant, which is wild to me. And the reason this is that the 4 states all have very low vaccination rates with well below 40%. And that is not looking good for those states. So hopefully they can find some way to get vaccination rates higher, because it does help in kind of reducing spread of that Delta variant. And the Delta variant has split into several subvariants, including one that is widespread in the United Kingdom. It was initially discovered in India, but the most dangerous part about this strain of coronavirus is that it's 60% more infectious, and the World Health Organization officials have called it a variant of concern. So, what are your thoughts, guys? Lots to unpack there.
So, first of all, New Jersey, great job. Keep doing what you do. It's impressive to see that we are taking care of business back home. But yeah, there is always room to be cautious about, like you said before. Seeing this the new variant is just, it's kind of makes you realize, okay, well, we're still not out of the neck of the woods yet. So it's gonna be an interesting next few months to see what happens, to see how things transpire. To the states, what you said, Missouri, Connecticut, Kansas, and what was the 4th state?
Arkansas.
To those states right there, I just hope nothing but the best for you guys.
Yeah, so Cam cut off, but I think what he was trying to say is that he's really hoping that we can continue to, especially for those states, to make sure that we get vaccinated and help prevent the Delta variant from really tearing the country apart for, I guess, another wave of coronavirus impacts. So hopefully we can, really rally around, make sure people stay happy and healthy. But the main part here is the 0 COVID deaths. I think that is honestly such a special moment for New Jersey, considering that we were the epicenter of coronavirus cases, and it was looking really bad, and we were leading the way in a very bad way, as pretty much everyone and your mother had coronavirus going on in New Jersey. But to see that we have 0, I think New Jersey and officials deserve a little bit of credit for that, as we've kind of led the way in coronavirus restrictions. We were never too early to take the masks off or anything. So I think a round of applause is well deserved for us New Jersey people. We rarely ever get any round of applause in New Jersey, But Francis, your thoughts on this news?
It's very good news, and also there have been studies showing that obviously the vaccines are effective against the Delta variant. Now they aren't as effective as the main COVID-19 strain that we've gotten, and there's always been evolving coronaviruses such as SARS back in 2009. There's always going to be evolving coronaviruses, so it's more so about making sure that medical researchers get the proper funding and resources to continually combat this new variant of the Delta coronavirus. And also that I believe 99 or 98% of the current COVID-19 deaths are also from unvaccinated people. So it's more so about showing them the factual information that the COVID-19 vaccine is safe. And again, that there's been a lot of news brought up about potentially causing blood clots with the COVID-19 vaccine, but it's only been a few cases. Whereas, say, items like birth control, for example, have caused hundreds of cases of blood clots, and they're still deemed safe for use. So the COVID-19 vaccine is safe, and it's more so about properly educating the population and communicating to them properly about the safeties of taking the COVID-19 vaccine and preventing another massive wave of an evolving coronavirus from destroying the U.S. like it did last year and the beginning of this year.
That's perfectly said, man. A lot of people are very hesitant with the vaccines. I have gotten the vaccine, and I will let you know, I don't have some special signal of 5G coming out of me. I am still the same old me that I've been since I was born in 1998. What are your thoughts, Thomas? You got anything for us here?
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's about. I was gonna agree with Francis about educating the population and getting them out to get the vaccine to reach that herd immunity rate, which we're starting to inch closer towards, but we're not completely out yet. I like to use sports analogies, of course. So I like to say we're kind of on the 5-yard line.
Well said. We are on the 5-yard line, looking to go ahead and capitalize on field position, maybe get a touchdown.
No, you got to punch it in. Got to punch it in.
Give it to Saquon, guys. Give it to Saquon.
Ooh, that line. Ooh, nice.
Trump announced is a suit against not only Facebook, Twitter, and Google. He's claiming he and other conservatives have been wrongfully censored. Trump announced the actions against the 3 major companies, along with Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Dorsey, and Sundar Pichai, at a press conference in New Jersey where he demanded that the accounts be reinstated. Trump has been suspended from the platform since January when his followers violently stormed the Capitol building, trying to block Congress from certifying Joe Biden's presidential win. The company cited that Trump would incite further violence and would have kept him locked out. Quote, we are asking the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida to order an immediate halt to social media companies' illegal, shameful censorship of American people, Trump said. We are going to hold big tech very accountable. Many legal experts do believe that the suits are likely to fail, given the precedent and legal protections. So, guys, Cam, you're raising your hand. You're allowed to speak.
Okay, so what I'm thinking is, personally, I agree with what Trump has to say. It's not right to be censored. I mean, listen, I understand that, there's terms and agreements. I get that. We all agree. That's what happens. And what happens is that. But we live we have freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want to an extent. But I don't think it should be censored. You got to remember, I've seen a lot of things in history that just people haven't, really followed. People are close to that go on in the world, but hey, man, listen. I personally believe that Trump should not be censored, and he should win this suit. He has all the right in the world because it's been 6 months. I think he learned his lesson. Just saying.
What are your thoughts, Mia? What are you thinking over there?
Well, freedom of speech, definitely. It's just when it hits that limit, did he get to that limit and try and go over? And that's why suddenly all of these social media platforms have just chosen to actually censor his freedom of speech. Because, I mean, there is a limit, but when that limit just is taken too far, it freedom of speech just doesn't really kind of
can only protect so much, pretty much.
Yeah.
Before, you don't want to like incite violence, and it was kind of, you know, teetering in that realm where things got very out of hand. I don't know if you guys saw, but you had some crazy people storming the Capitol building.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say there's freedom of speech, however, there's not freedom of consequences.
Yeah.
That is true. Oh, that's very true.
I personally think, because I remember him like tweeting stuff out about meeting at the Capitol on January 6th, and then we all saw the outcome of January 6th and how very dangerous that was for our country that day. And the fact that these social media companies are not run by the government at all, they're all private companies, I think that they have the right to kick him off their platforms. Because if they don't want that type of, you know, representation on their platforms, I think they kind of have the right to remove him from their platforms. Also, like, this is just my opinion. This is not the opinion of the station. But yeah, I think that they absolutely have the right to remove him from the platforms. Because like he's like kind of inviting them to this Capitol riot that wasn't very friendly, you know?
Yep, just a reminder, as Ali said, these are all our personal opinions. We do not represent what the station is trying to be, you know, so this is just us. And I kind of agree with Ali as well. These are private run organizations. These aren't like American organizations run by the government. So, I mean, they have the ability to do whatever they want. They can block or prevent people from making accounts if they wanted to. It's really their decision. And that's why I think most likely, according to experts as well, I am not an expert, but it's most likely the suit isn't gonna, you know, do much work. It's more of like an attention grab, I would assume, in my humble opinion, that this is just him trying to get back into the news cycle more than anything else. I don't think the results of his suit really matters much to him. And, you know, I'll leave my opinion at that. Anyone else want to hop in on this?
It's just the way I agree that, you know, it's the companies have all the right in the world. It's just my opinion is just that a full-on ban, like what was it a lifetime ban? Like a suspension, yeah, do that. But, you know, probably suspend him for X amount of time. And, you know, have him understand, you know, what the result of I mean, it's hard to, you know, get through someone like that, but you know what I mean. You gotta make sure someone like that understands what happened, what his words really meant, and that what he says and what he does, it's just detrimental towards the greater good, if whatever good you believe in, but you know.
Yeah. So I think we'll leave it at that, guys. We'll see what happens with the lawsuit. Maybe we'll update you guys in a few months if anything changes. You know what's, you know, before I actually change, I'm surprised he hasn't like attempted to make like a burner account for like his own Twitter, like Trump's little burner. It's like Angry Man 37 or whatever, and he's just going to town on everyone.
Angry Man 45.
For real, I'm just waiting for that to happen. He should. Why not? Well, Cam, I think it's time for one final story. And would you like to take us on that journey?
Yes, I shall. Chinese social media giant WeChat shuts down LGBT accounts. WeChat has shut down several accounts dealing with LGBT topics that were run by college students and other non-government organizations, which has raised concerns about the Communist Party in China. The notices sent out to these accounts said that they're in violation, but gave no further explanation. And many owners of the accounts were reluctant to be identified out of fear of further consequence. AP News says, quote, the Communist Party has decriminalized homosexuality in 1997, but gay, lesbian, bisexual, transsexual, and other sexual minorities still face discrimination. While there are more public discussions of such issues, some LGBT activities have been blocked by authorities, end quote. That's really in the world that we live in now, that's just very demoralizing. That is, it's demoralizing. Not much more to say, but it just that hurts to realize that there are people out there that really are not going to support the LGBT community.
Yeah, this is rough because I think a lot of people forget that how, forward the United States is. I know we have our problems, but there's a lot of things that we are forward with, and just accepting people who they are, yeah, is a huge thing that I think we have here that a lot of countries maybe do not have, such as China, where they're literally just censoring people for just loving someone, pretty much.
Yeah,
Like that's what it comes down to, is that the government in China has so much control that they don't want people to really be themselves and just fall in line and follow what we do.
Yeah, and it's sad too because I could be wrong, but from what I gather about the Chinese government is they actually do like step in and like own and have a lot of say in these social media apps. So the fact that the government is like kind of, aware that they're targeting these LGBT individuals is scary. And it's also scary because of the fact that they could find out who the owners of these accounts are, and that creates an even more dangerous situation.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's scary. Yeah, it's not a good situation.
No.
It's one of those things in life that the danger of being who you are is that it's dangerous to you, because if you explain who you are, that's your life that you're playing with, and it's difficult. It's frustrating, but that's the reality of the situation. At least not in America. Things in America are much more lenient, accepting. Like me personally, love who you love. We'll support you no matter what. That's the way I see it. That's the way it should be. But I guess governments across the world don't see that.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's like, who am I to tell you who to really love and who to spend your time with, or what identity you want to identify as? Like, you breathe the same air as me. We're both human at the end of the day. So as far as I can tell, we're both equals, So it sucks to see that, a lot of other countries are like they're struggling with this internally, just trying to, be themselves at the end of the day, and they don't have the opportunity that I think a lot of people here have. And obviously there's areas in America where, that still is very like demoralizing for people. Like they feel the need that they can never really truly be themselves where they live. But then there are also areas, like especially where like in Montclair, I feel like there's a lot of people that are just, they are who they are.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
they have no shame about it, and they shouldn't, because that's it. That's them. Who am I to judge you?
Listen, we all have. Nobody in the world is perfect. We all have flaws. So what we can't say anything about anybody else, because we would not want that back on ourselves. It's the golden rule: treat others the way you want to be treated.
Exactly. Yeah. And I wonder if they are gonna do. I'm not sure if China has other kind of social media chats like WeChat or not. But I'm wondering, like, are they going to start banning other apps such as TikTok or whatever other apps in China are very popular? Do you think they're going to have more censorship of just trying to delete, I guess, LGBT involvement in China as a whole?
Personally, I really hope they don't, because the LGBT community it's a community that them and their allies it's strong supporters. No matter what, the people are going to support them, and you're going to see that all over all social media apps at the end of the day. So you're really just going to say the Chinese government's going to just really step in and say, yeah, no more social media.
Yeah,
that's a huge overhaul of banning right there. So I don't know.
The interesting part, though, is that could that possibly bleed over? Like, say they try to take a bigger stance on LGBT content on TikTok, would that bleed over into like our version of TikTok? Or are they going to censor, our communities over here? Because it's still the same thing. They're all a part of the same community. So what do you guys think? Is that a possibility that, TikTok could end up having, silencing a whole segment of people?
I mean, I think it very well is possible because kind of like with the whole Trump thing we talked about before, it is a private company and it is like it is wrong to, you know, ban these accounts just because that they're a part of the LGBTQ community. It is a private company though, so legally they can do it. Is it right? No, not at all. And it's sad. And I don't know if it would kind of go over well in the US side of TikTok because I know that personally, like a lot of LGBTQ community members use TikTok in America and it's like a safe place.
Yeah.
It'd be very scary if that got taken away.
Here's the thing. TikTok is a Chinese-owned company. Why? That's their money on the line. Why would they, miss out on that?
I get maybe they care more about their
image.
Like maybe they feel like that's dishonoring them in some kind of fashion, and maybe the money's not as important as telling people what it's like.
That's listen. Honestly, I'm just saying from our point, from an American point of view, you gotta be more accepting. That's at the end of the day, you gotta be accepting because people are scared to really be who they are, and I feel as though that's probably one of the things that we do well in the Western world. We express who we are without fear of anything, and not without fear of being judged. That's really what makes us so different, so unique.
Yeah, I think the final point I want to leave off at least is, obviously this is a huge community, but if they have the power to censor them, who's next to say what other community is next for them to just say, yeah, we're just going to silence you too as well. We don't want to hear your voice, and we're just going to stomp on it until it's no longer heard. So it's scary to see that this is a possibility, and the options are really endless for China to see who they want to block off from the world next.